Good evening, Afrinection family. I hope everybody is keeping well during this winter season. I'm very excited. Today we are doing another installment in our interview series, and we are going to be interviewing a very interesting entrepreneur. So I'm just going to wait for him to hop on and then we'll get started. Hi.
Hello, hello.
How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. My apologies for the delay. I was trying to make sure that the Wi-Fi was solid and it wasn't there any issues.
No worries, no worries. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Certainly. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me to be on your show and looking forward to it.
For sure. Before I start, I don't want to butcher this. Please tell me the pronunciation of your last name.
My last name is pronounced Akpoghene. So, Frederick Akpoghene.
Amazing.
I get that.
Okay. Oh, pardon? I think you cut out.
I get that a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, I had Googled it and there was a bunch of different answers. So I was like, let me just ask him.
yeah. I usually
Okay.
try like the English comparison, but yeah, it's just Akpoghene. So.
Okay. Question, are you on Wi-Fi or data? Just because your connection is a little bit shaky.
It is. I'm on Wi-Fi.
Okay. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure nobody misses anything. Well, we'll try it out and see how it goes, okay? Oh, buffering. For anybody that's watching, can you tell me whether or not you can hear the both of us?
Is it now?
I can hear you now. Okay, I can hear you now. Your video's back. Okay.
All right.
All right.
It was solid. Is it better now?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
Okay. I'm going to start just by reading your bio and then we'll get into it, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, so Frederick Akpoghene is the founder of JéGO Technologies, Inc., a climate tech company that designs and manufactures autonomous vehicles, including self-driving vehicles that make it easy to connect consumers with services and products on the go. He is also a 2020 NASDAQ Milestone Makers Program graduate who has over 15 years of experience in technology development and software engineering. Frederick commenced his tech career at the early age of 16 at the Microsoft IT Academy, where he learned computer programming. He furthered his computer programming education in university with a degree focused on global business and providing software development solutions to local businesses while attending college full-time. This led to him building a very profitable multi-million-dollar technology company, Above Technologies. We're going to butcher that also. Above Technologies is trusted technology partner to hundreds of businesses, NBA and NFL champions, and startups around the world. He is also the mastermind behind two other multi-million-dollar companies, Scissors Inc. and Odio Tribe Holdings. As an immigrant, he believes in creating community-centered experiences that connect communities in order to create long-term impact. He is also the son of an architect and sculptor and property developer. Frederick got an early start in business by shadowing his father every day at the office, starting as early as 5 years old, learning how to successfully operate a national business with a large factory with hundreds of employees. Frederick is also a seasoned growth hacker, author, startup advisor, and angel investor. Wow, there's a mouthful. Wow.
All right.
All
Thank you.
right. Well, can you just start by giving us a little bit of, I guess, a background that you didn't include in your bio? Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Tell us a bit about your family.
Well, I was I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, and I pretty much lived there till I was about 17, and I moved to Boston for college, and pretty much lived between Boston and New York, and ended up being a New Yorker permanently for a long time. And that's my background in a nutshell. No longer in New York, currently living in Columbus, Ohio, back and forth between there. And we have a place, residence too, also in Miami. So, yeah.
Okay, okay. And can you please tell us in what year did you start your first innovation, I'll say?
Innovation or business,
Yeah.
more of a businessman first than just creating innovation. So if with all my solutions that I've created in the technology space has always been geared towards solving a problem for a business organization. I started around the age of 18. That was when I started my software business. So I was providing solutions to businesses while I was in college as well.
Interesting. Okay. And JéGO, did you start that with another person, or is this something that came to your mind first? Can you tell us a bit about how that came to be?
Sure. So I started JéGO. I'm a solo founder at JéGO. It was a pivot from a previous company that was providing on-demand services. Well, not providing, but our platform provided the infrastructure for businesses in the healthcare, personal care space to provide on-demand services. So, and I already consulted on smart city technology and infrastructure, IoT solutions, connected devices.
Mhm.
And I saw the opportunity. The first time it was put together was in 2018 during the tragic incident. I'll save you the story for another time. But that was when I saw the need for the ability to use IoT solutions in the autonomous space. So connecting an autonomous vehicle to a mobile device or sensor where a customer or a patient or individual is able to have products and services brought to them. So that was in 2018. That was the first time I came up with the concept. This was before the pandemic. And then when the pandemic hit, that made me realize I needed to bring this to the forefront as the world that we're in was no longer the same because the problems had changed, and it led to an accelerated adoption in EV and AV technology. And I invested a lot in EV and AV related companies in 2020 and did a lot of research and in that space. So there was a lot that I saw also in the government side with the RFPs and the contracts that were floating around were indicating a strong interest in that area. So that's how JéGO pretty much came about in a nutshell.
And can you tell us a bit about the name JéGO?
Certainly. So JéGO, I don't know if you can see my shirt, but JéGO is the Jet is inspired by the goddess of commerce, Ajay, goddess of marketplace, and I wanted to, give an ode to Black women as, a global entrepreneurial force, and I wanted to. I was raised by a strong Black woman who was also an entrepreneur. My wife's an entrepreneur. My grandmother was an entrepreneur. My sisters are entrepreneurs. So I that's what I recognize and what I understand. So I wanted to put that into the ethos of of the company from the very beginning. We're very intentional. Everything we're doing, we're operating like what we'll be in 10 years from the very beginning. The mindset, everything that we're doing, and our branding, the communications, and our ethos. So JéGO basically is commerce on the go. That was inspiration when you put the words together. Go being for mobility, and then you also have in the Philippines. Later on, I found out that JéGO was also means energy, because we also have an energy play part of our business model, being able to provide, because it's an electric vehicle, so we'll be able to provide power from the vehicle and also provide charging solutions. We're currently actually in the process of building out our EV charging infrastructure. That's the electric vehicle charging infrastructure in the United States, and will be spreading across.
Okay, thank you. I'm curious about that charging feature that you mentioned. Is this something that we'll be able to integrate with a sustainable home?
Yes, I can't say too much on that just yet. But at the moment, what we'll be rolling out in our phase one is basically just level 2 EV chargers for it's they're universal for any vehicle pretty much. We're placing them in strategic routes where the pods will be operating, and that's the JéGO pods where they will operate in the future. So we're building out the infrastructure prior because that's the process in engineering, because that's my approach, and that's the standard engineering approach, to build the infrastructure that will be needed to support um, what's coming.
How long do you think it'll be until we see global adoption of this type of technology?
Great question. Well, we're seeing an accelerated adoption globally, and because of the push for clean tech, climate tech, as a result, because the findings during the pandemic was, I think we were able to reduce the global emissions by like 7%, and then there was that we saw how much easier or quicker we could get to that goal, or slow it down, because we really can't stop it right now. We can only slow it down. So, with initiatives from organizations like COP26, that's the United Nations Climate Arm, paraphrasing there, and other initiatives like in the US, where you have the Build Better, the infrastructure bill from Joe Biden, where they're supporting local manufacturing structure. So we're looking at, it's already happening. Like there's the Ford Lightning truck, which is an American flagship vehicle, and you have the Mercedes EQS, that's electric S-Class. Those are two main large auto company flagship vehicles that are now electric vehicles, and level 3, level 4 autonomous. So when that happens, those kind of companies only do 7-figure numbers for sales. 6-figure numbers is a poor performance for them. So they will want to push for those sales. And Ford right now has a target of 1 million vehicles, electric vehicles, to be sold by 2025. That's 3 years from now. So there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about, but it's tied to like building infrastructure that's vital to the longevity and the sustainability of the entire ecosystem. Because it's an ecosystem, it's not a red ocean. This is not a price war type of market. This is every manufacturer, every company is working together, sharing resources like open source infrastructure on the back end. Again, that's where my strength comes in. I've been coding since I was 14. I graduated from the Microsoft IT Academy at the age of 16. My certificate has Bill Gates' signature on it, but that's a long time ago. So why I mention that is I've always approached life or solving problems using software, right? So that software is what's actually controlling a lot of this stuff and enabling a lot of this technologies to communicate with each other.
Can you tell us about a challenging event that you've experienced when starting your business, and how did you tackle it?
Challenging events, there are many. Thinking, which one should I use? Well, I will use the most recent one. So with the pandemic, brought a lot of businesses came to a standstill, and we saw a lot of businesses go out of business. It was over 1 million millions of businesses globally that died because they couldn't adapt, or just not even, there was no resources to sustain their continuation of their business without customers. So some companies were able to adapt and pivot, and some weren't. For us, we saw opportunity to pivot, which is integrate a hardware component to our software to ensure that we not only made it past the pandemic, but went beyond that and introduced a new solution to the world that never existed prior, which is using autonomous vehicles for commerce. So that was how I was able to navigate that. So JéGO actually is a response to a challenge that came up, which was, okay, there's a pandemic that could potentially, if there are more pandemics, our business will potentially not exist. So how do I make sure that we're not going to deal with this again, where we're like, okay, we're at standstill for like 2-3 months. And I'm a business person first, and I wouldn't want my businesses to be, not making money, within that period of time. So I wasn't just trying to address it for just our business, but wanted to address it for several businesses, right? And that's what our technology represents. The opportunity to use a driverless vehicle that's a workspace on wheels that's shared. You don't own the cost. And that's the goal. That's the vision. We want to reduce the cost of making each of those vehicles, the autonomous pods, to a low five-figure number, and potentially enable more local businesses to be able to use our infrastructure. And that's why we have all of that, everything that we're building right now, the infrastructures for the mapping and the battery life and the charging and communication infrastructures. All those things are vital pieces in the success of it all, of all of it.
Okay. I see your wife has posted a link here. This is the link to your investment.
Correct. And that's startengine.com/JéGO. I figured you were going to ask, but yeah, thank you very much. Very appreciate it.
For everyone watching, we are going to post this link also in our bio so that you can access it right after this chat. Can you please tell us what it is that you guys are raising funds for currently?
Yeah, certainly. So where we are, we have actually raised capital from angel investors, and Start Engine is a way for the average person, that's not an accredited investor, to be able to invest alongside these institutional accredited investors. So it's a great opportunity for the public to be able to participate in and join our growth. It's rare that the average individual is privy to this type of deals. It's usually closed, and usually the minimum ticket or minimum investment amount to participate is about anywhere from 15 to 50,000, depending on the company. So we're still receiving from angels and working with VCs as well. And with Start Engine, that's just, we love the fact that we can build a community with that, and they can come along with us.
Can I ask you, how much is it to make one of these autonomous vehicles?
Confidential, can't share that yet. No, that's not public information.
I tried, guys.
Yeah. Yes.
That is okay. Can you tell us what, in your opinion, do you believe is...
Someone said it's around 250 to 500, 500,000, 250 to 500,000. I can't answer. So that's not, again, it's not public information just yet. But it is pretty expensive. It's in a six-figure range. And that's why our goal is to bring it down to a five-figure range so that the average local business can participate in it. And that will come with, the accelerated adoption of the entire industry.
Okay. Someone's asked you a question. What's the minimum to invest? Oh,
right. So the minimum amount is $260 approximately. So you're looking at about $5.62 a share, 62 cents a share to invest. And there's some perks there that, for those who want to invest from the minimum amount, about 500, from 2,500, you get to participate in the investment club, and same thing with the 5,000. And also, we're actually getting ready to announce our NFT drop. It will be coming out in the next few days. So just be on the lookout for it. Follow JéGO Technologies, and also check out the Start Engine page, and ask any questions. There's a comment section there as well. You can look up the team members. All the LinkedIn's are connected. Watch the videos, definitely. And we also have an update section on the Start Engine page. And you can also check out our website, JéGOPods.com. And our social media manager is going to leave that there in the comment section, JéGOPods.com.
Great. Can you tell me a bit about JéGO in the metaverse?
So what we're working on with JéGO in the metaverse is being able to have, as everyone's, people walk around in the metaverse, so they need to go from point A to point B. They also need to need transportation to get from point A to point B. So the metaverse is just another dimension of the same world. The same similar technologies or rather resources or lifestyles that exist here will be needed on that side as well.
Is it true JéGO is the first autonomous vehicle in the metaverse?
It is. It is, actually. And it's the first technically the first black-owned autonomous vehicle company in the world as well. So, so there's a lot that there's a lot of pressure on our sides to deliver, and for us, it's about representation. Growing up, I didn't have someone like me to look up to, and this means a lot, and there's a lot of responsibility to focus on making sure that we change the narrative and we open the door for more people to come in, because there'll be several more.
In your opinion, what is the key missing element in Africa's sustainable growth from an economic point of view?
Well, the key element will be, I always say the government, but that's the typical answer, because you need government backing for infrastructure, like you have in the U.S., right, with the Build Back Better bill, and also the infrastructure bill. Same thing in Europe. So the government definitely needs to be involved, and there are in countries like Nigeria and South Africa and Ghana that happens, but there needs to be more. Because a lot of these countries, especially like Nigeria, they rely on the oil resources to generate revenue for the country primarily. So there's a lot of, they're not too friendly to his policies that push for sustainability. So, but there are people like myself and others that are, making certain things happen back home to make sure that happens. And there are others as well. There's so many people. Like Rwanda is a great example of sustainability, and they're blazing the trail for that in Africa. They're setting the standard for what a sustainable city would look like.
What specifically is Rwanda doing that?
Well, they're using electric vehicles already as well, and they're building their roads for less emissions, and just their software. They're already building a connected city with IoT solutions. Mm-hmm. So I haven't been there yet. I've gotten invitations, and because right now the beautiful thing about what we're doing at JéGO is that we already have interest from cities, counties, government level entities that want to work with us, that want to use our solution. So it's interesting to hear and be in some of these meetings and hear what these guys are interested in doing with their plans.
Okay. Can you tell us just a bit about what the word innovation means to you and how you see yourself and your business fitting into that?
Innovation to me means thinking out the box when you're just trying to solve a problem. Not being afraid to blaze a trail, and most importantly, having a human-centric approach to whatever it is you're creating. Mm-hmm. Right? So from the design perspective to the user experience of the product that you're creating, you should have human psychology at the center of that, because of how the end user will be interacting with the product. So for me, innovation simply is being, above average, stepping outside your comfort zone, not being afraid to blaze a trail, and being the first person to travel down the path. There's that's how innovation happens, when you're not afraid to step outside your comfort zone, think outside the box, blaze a trail, chart your own course. And that's what I enjoy. That's where I live, is outside the box. That's who I am.
Can you please, because this is a profile on you totally, so can you tell us a bit about your other side projects that you have going on?
Side projects? Well, I have other businesses. So software business, that pretty much an innovation lab that builds all types of software solutions for organizations and private side and government side, augmented reality solutions as well, and IoT solutions, smart city solutions. And also we have a music technology company with my brother, and he's also in a production business. You familiar with Thames, the artist? Yes. So we are one of the brains behind Thames, and yeah, you know, most people don't know this. I do get royalties from Thames. So that's one of the other businesses that I have. I can't say too much on that because I don't talk too much about my involvement on that side, but I'm a silent investor and strategic consultant in that side. And also we have an augmented reality and mixed reality company that's coming out soon as well. And my wife and I have a book, an illustrated, unique book that was done by Sam the artist, original paintings. There's also NFTs on that on OpenSea. And it is on, you could go in my bio, started in the DM. It's also started in DM.com. And my wife's business, Popcom, sure you know of it. And I'm not sure if others do. I'm most certainly sure if they're in this call, they most likely might have looked me up or looked her up. So Popcom with a smart vending machine that will also be in the JéGO pods and in some of our other ecosystem projects as well. And, you know, we have our family businesses. I don't want to list those here. I like to just focus on the company at hand, so I don't really talk too much about other ventures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, you can ask any questions that you'd like to have answered during this live. I think you have, let me see if you have a question. Why aren't places like Rwanda being talked about in the media in regards to paving the way? Somebody asked. Why do you think that is?
Someone asked that? Okay.
Yeah.
I hear on my side, at least for me, maybe it's because of my circle and what I do hear about it pretty much like every week. So to me, it's like, it's actually out there that Rwanda is I guess in the mainstream media, it's not, but that's because it's in Africa. That's just like every other thing. There's so many, there's so much innovation that comes out of Africa, like the M-Pesa infrastructure that's been set up in East Africa for fintech. There's a lot of fintech companies. There's so many unicorns that are coming out of Nigeria that exist. So, yeah, I believe it's because they don't, the mainstream media, typical with the West, with the African narrative, but that's why we should control our narrative and can influence the direction of the narrative and take control, just like you guys are doing with Afrinection.
Good answer. Someone said, any advice for fellow tech startups like myself who are looking for funding?
Just starting off. I mean, I'm not sure what level or what point you are at. I'm assuming you're probably at seed. But either way, definitely, continue to figure out how to build that MVP. If you don't have investors yet, you can use your own funds or start with the F&F, friends and family, to create that. I believe in always starting with your own money to build up the company and then invite investors to join. That's one way. You have crowdfunding platforms like Start Engine and other platforms that you can go through, but it's a very rigorous process. So as long as you have all the paperwork and you have all the product information and everything that's related to it, it does work. And, attending tech conferences, meeting different tech investors from different backgrounds, getting in front of, as many people, quality, because I don't believe in just talking to everybody. Conserve your energy and figure out who's, getting to, conferences and organizations where you can meet more quality strategic connections.
Okay. Guys, ask any more questions that you have. Frederick, is there any ask that you have for the network? Any particular ask, any particular kind of entrepreneur or type of investor that you're trying to attract? Just
well,
back afterwards.
With JéGO, we're right in the middle of our funding round. So we are raising on Start Engine, as mentioned. They approached us because of our technology and the opportunity there that will be made available to the public, and they can invest at startengine.com/JéGO. And we're also receiving investment from angel investors as well. It's a 5-figure minimum, about 25,000, and that's for accredited investors. So if you're interested in joining the journey, feel free to reach out to me. You can follow me and DM me, shoot me an email. And once again, you can check out our website, JéGOPods.com.
There we go.
And definitely follow JéGO Technologies as well, the page.
Have you made your Afrinection profile?
No, not yet. I guess I didn't get the link for that. But you could remind me about that. Thank you.
No worries. We also have a place on our site where you can post your Start Engine campaign in our, I believe it's crowdfunding section. I will
Okay. Okay.
up there also.
Okay.
Any more questions, guys? Anything? I saw you were at, I believe it's CES in Vegas about a month ago.
Correct.
Well, is JéGO going to be featured there in the future, or?
Eventually. Yeah, that was for a different business related matter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But eventually, yes, we'll be at conferences like that.
Do you have a physical prototype made yet?
Well, with Deep Tech Solutions, there's a long process that's involved. So as mentioned on startengine.com, the physical prototype will be out by Q3, Q4. It might be out sooner than that. We do have physical prototypes for other infrastructure related products that like our EV chargers and whatnot. But the JéGO pods will be coming out in Q3, Q4. And that's before commercialization. So before there's a certain process that you have to go through before you have everything on the roads and it's all validated. But we're still online for our target. So yeah.
Okay. Is there any more questions? Nobody has any questions? Is there anything else? Is there anything?
I think we answered all the questions. There was like a few good questions that were asked. So yeah, everyone can invest. They could go to the startengine.com page and learn more about JéGO.
There we go. All right. Frederick, I'm going to thank you for coming on the show. We're going to do our best to help you reach your goal. And thank you for everybody for participating in the conversation and joining the live. For anybody watching this, you'll be able to find Frederick. What's your Afrinection name going to be?
It will be under my full name, so Frederick Akpoghene, if it's allowed on the page to be that long. So yes. Full name Frederick Akpoghene.
Amazing. Well, that was it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your week.
You too. Bye.